Hey, everybody. Captain Tommy Scoble, and you are on the lifeboat. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, people. Terribly sorry. All right. I have 5x5. The microphone's just doing something really odd in my ear. And that always scares me a little bit. Let's see. We got SD Cat Lover. Good to see you. Thank you. Jeremy Shelton, good to see you. Let's go back to the beginning here. I gotta go back here because I saw something earlier. There we go. Let me see here. Cat's Eyes, are you a lurker? Did I hear you're a lurker? Where are you, Cat's Eyes? Okay, I can't find you. I know there was somebody named Cat Eyes that was lurking, but I love lurkers. Hey, little bubble. Are you traveling or did you move? I missed the answer to this if you have said it before. Little bubble, the answer to this is you're not here often enough. I'm kidding. I left the state of Nevada about 5 or 6 months ago when I moved to Arizona. You usually see me filming from my office. This is me filming from my living room. So that's what that is. That is the fireplace behind me, or the side of the fireplace, because it's a a double fireplace. It's open on two sides. So you're seeing one side of my fireplace is what you're seeing. And it's nice to get out of the office. And but that's what you're seeing. I have not moved all but about 50 or 60 feet, I guess. 70 feet. I didn't move very far. But I have moved just from one side of this home to the other. You're a lurker. You're a lurker. I love lurkers. I do not have a problem with that. However, Violet Vision. You know, a funny thing happened to me. I'm gonna say this over here, man. This is not something I would have a conversation with on my brother's channel. It wouldn't feel right. But I would like the world to know, because somebody sent me something in the mail about the one of these, I forgot what they call it, but it's like a convention. They do them out in Vegas a lot, where they debut a bunch of new technology, or it's like a con, but it's for technology or whatever. And they were debuting Smell-O-Vision. Now, the people at Chase the Heat are going to be a little salty at the fact that someone is debuting a product that we've been pimping for more than 7 years. Johnny Scoville has, we being Chase the Heat. But Johnny Scoville's been pimping Smell-O-Vision for the better part of 7 years. Quick story, because I find this one really funny. When I was in college, I had a soda machine, the kind that you would pull a door open and then pull the soda out. It would be in there sideways, and you'd be seeing the top of it, like the pop top metal. A glass bottle, and you would pull the soda out. It didn't hold full size sodas. You couldn't get a 12-ounce soda in there, but you could get a pony. So it fit a Rolling Rock pony perfectly. It's like a 9-ounce beer or whatever that is, 6.9-ounce beer or whatever. Those fit perfectly in there. I got in trouble, right, in school. So we would open that thing. I got in trouble with security and the dean and all that. So we would open that thing and put the bong and the weed and everything locked up. Security would go home literally at 11:59. That guy would walk out the front door. He's got to be dead. His name was Kent Goslin. That's what the guy's name was. I remember after all these years. I got in trouble on a radio show saying something about him. I got in deep trouble. Smell-O-Vision was in the Flintstones. True. But the Flintstones were not actively using Smell-O-Vision like we are over at Chase the Heat. The Midnight Shows, thank you so much for your generosity. I really appreciate you. I mean that. Thank you so much. Yeah, but Smell-O-Vision is they're rolling it out. I would be salty if I was Johnny Scoville, but that's just me. Haven't spoken to him about that yet this morning. He is up and about doing things, getting ready for the show. By the way, getting ready for shows tonight on the Lifeboat. For those who have been here a really long time, this is going to be a reunion. For those who have not been here a really long time, you're going to get to see the other captain of the Lifeboat, which is cool. And that would be Captain Mark Wages. Mark is absolutely awesome. He really is. He has a very large, look at who's here. V knows Captain Mark really well. V is one of the founding members of the Lifeboat as well. So this evening, Mark Wages will be taking his seat at the helm of the Lifeboat again. We're probably not going to be, I mean, we're going to talk about lifeboat stuff to be sure, but I really want to talk about space weather. There's a lot of you that, so was I, V. I was there last night, but I lurk. If I say hi on Mark's channel, Mark's probably here right now, but we lurk because if we say hello on the other's channel, it will steer the comment section in a direction for 5 or 10 minutes. We've talked about it in the past, Mark and I. He said, you know, I'm there, meaning at the boat, a lot more often than I let on. And I said, yeah, I get that. I get that. And Johnny Scoville gets that. Rick, you should love this then, Rick Spicer. You should absolutely love this then. In college, we would bribe the security guard with a beer, and he would leave us alone. We had a full rock concert in the cafeteria at midnight in there. Pretty sure you can't do that anymore with Cell. You know, Izzy, this is funny, but I was a freshman in college, and I got in trouble by the security guard. He's an old guy, and I got in trouble. He was walking me across campus. Not Kent Goslin, by the way. This was the guy that used to come on when Goslin would come home, right? Kent Goslin would walk out at midnight, and the midnight tokers, we would start smoking because the shift that came on at midnight were slower on foot between the ears. They were not quite as they didn't have as much on the ball. But the guy that came on right after we would do the midnight token caught me doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing, and he was walking me across campus to the security office, and he said to me, "What part of Connecticut are you from?" And he was being a wise guy because almost everybody on the campus was from Connecticut. It was almost like considered a camp for rich Connecticut kids. More than that than it was a college. But I said to him, "No, I'm actually from Vermont." And he said, "You got to be kidding me. Where?" And when I told him the little city that I grew up in, he said, "I know a girl from that city." And he didn't say a woman. He said, "I know a girl from that city." And then he proceeded to describe her license plate, right? Which was an acronym for "I hate working in restaurants." And when he said that, I said to him, you know, she's been known to say that it stands for "I'm horny when it rains." And he just stopped in his tracks and looked at me and said, "Good Lord, you know her." I said, "It's a very small town, right? It is. There's a town of about 600 people." And this woman actually, who was a little crude, loved my grandmother for whatever reason. The two of them hit it off and were friends. But I told the security guard, and by the time we got to where he was supposed to be taking me in to get in trouble, he just peeled off to the right and took me back to the hall that I lived in, which was called we called it Martini Hall. It's not the name of it, but that was the nickname of it. So I peeled back and went to Martini Hall, where he came upstairs and sat down in the lounge and started to have a few drinks with me. And about the time that the fellas found us, it was about 3 a.m. And the security guard in full costume has a beer in his hand and a lit joint. Everybody sort of walked in and looked at me like, what the hell just happened? I said, hey, we're good. This guy's one of us. We got nothing to worry about. It actually worked out. So do you know what today is, people? Huh? Today is the 29th day of February. This does not happen very often, once every 4 years. And not every 4 years, because we skip it once every 100 years. Did you know that? Unless that 100 years is divisible by 4, and then we don't. I know you're going, what the? So does any of this make sense to anybody, that we can figure this out with all of this stuff, right? With all of this stuff, we can figure out that the sun's not really going around. I mean, the earth is not really going around the sun every 365 days. It's going around every 365 days, but there's that extra 0.4, it's whatever, right? So we know that once every 4 years, we have to adjust by adding another day. Now, I couldn't figure that out, right? I can fix one of these. So check this out. This is, you see the balance wheel going back and forth? This is a device for measuring time. This one here is actually Seventh Sons. I've been working on this damn thing for so long, I can't begin to tell you. Hold on, it's actually got over here. You're gonna hear noise? Hear that click? That damn sound. That sound right there. Normally, when that sound is made, it's because a device called a click is giving you problems, but that's not what's happening with this watch. But that's irrelevant. What's relevant is about in the 1700s, right? People started really getting these things down, right? They really started getting this whole watch thing under control. If at that point we figured out the leap year thing, I'd be blown away. But we didn't. The Sumerians had this figured out. The Egyptians had this figured out, right? And leap year proper, I mean, first of all, they had it figured out that it was not 365 days. They knew there was a difference between a solar calendar versus the calendar that had been used. But Julius Caesar is the fellow most credited with the calendar that we use today, although Pope Gregory, right, the Gregorian calendar, whatever. But prior to that, the adjustment of leap year by adding one day was credited to Caesar. Once again, how in the hell did they figure this out? Do you realize how long you would have to observe something? Think about this for a second, really logically. So every 4 years, a day would be off. So how many damn years would it take for a month to be off? It would take a really long time for you to notice that, well, I'll be damned. The seasons seem to be wandering a little bit. And at what point would you then go, oh, you know what? I know what it is. 16 years ago, we didn't account for this, quarter of a day thing. So every 4 years, are you kidding? Does this make anyone else do this number? Yeah, Calhoun. Pretty sure it was a mathematician, says Calhouni, who figures this stuff out with extrapolation. Yes. But we're talking about this being figured out at a time when they were still inventing the zero. You feel me? As far as math goes, this was right around the time that we were figuring out that this thing was important, right? The greatest invention of all time, the zero. This stuff was really, this was pre-Christ. Stonehenge, the Mayans, the Egyptians, right? Sundials have been around for a very, very long time, to be sure. But when someone had a lifespan of 30 years, right? You had a shot at eight leap years over the course of your life. In 30 years of skipping a leap year, you were not going to wander enough from summer to fall or from spring to summer, right? Depending on like where you are in the world. There wasn't going to be so much of a wandering for you to go, oh, they did their homework. It did Sandy Wandy. Good call, right? Good call. It's really pretty remarkable stuff. It's pretty remarkable stuff that this stuff got figured out without the assistance of Silicon Valley, right? Or anybody there on Silicon Valley. I couldn't understand the concept of zero in first grade. From then on, math was my enemy. JD, I love you. I still don't understand the concept of the zero. If you want to know the truth, right? It bothers me. I don't like it. It's something that doesn't exist that is so damn important. I mean, it exists, but there's nothing there, right? In fact, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's making my head hurt. On the other hand, though, this keeping of time thing, right? This stuff is something that fascinates the crap out of me, right? It absolutely fascinates the crap out of me. So I have spent a pretty decent amount of time invested into researching the people over the years that dedicated their lives to the keeping of time. Abraham Louis Breguet, if you ever want to look up a fascinating cat. Abraham Louis Breguet basically invented the watch. He didn't invent the watch, but everything cool inside a watch was invented or patented by him. Everything. Like all of the things that we take for granted. As I'm taking that watch apart and I'm working on it, everything in there was something that he came up with as a concept. Really, really a wild dude. And as I'm working on Seven Sweats, which I've been working on for a long time, I've been working on this thing for months, literally. Now it happens to also be an antique. That movement is over 100 years old. It's a skeleton, so it's a very unusual watch. But when you work on these things, I have a computer I can hook this up to, right? That tells me in 7 seconds if this thing is losing time, gaining time, right? Why basically it's losing time or gaining time. If I have to adjust the feet on the, in what direction, a computer that does all that. Abraham Louis Breguet did all of this without a computer and without having a timing device to test his timing device with. You understand this concept? If you're the first person to make one of these, then there's nothing to test it against. But like that thing that swings back and forth in there, right there, that's a balance wheel. It does that. It doesn't look like it's doing it very fast. It's doing it 1,800 times an hour, right? And it used to be called a hairspring because the spring on the top of it was made from the hair of a boar. This guy, you talk about having time to kill. He did all of this crap, invented all of this, figured all this out, and did this without electricity. Did this without the ability to. You've never seen the inside of a watch before coming here? Well, I am glad that I was able to do that for you because it is absolutely breathtaking. There's not much cooler than the inside of a watch. Now, and this is what makes this watch unique is that you'll be able to see that even when it's moving. You're doxing Abraham Louis Breguet. I think we're okay on this one. He's been gone a while. I think you're going to be all right on this. He died in the 17s, but you have an obsession with finding out how things are made and why. Well, I dig it. I'm that guy too. That's what started down the You know what? I have Squirrel is, I've got Squirrel right here. She just is not in the mood. She has really been on one this morning. I don't know what got into her. Here's the thing. Sometimes if Squirrel does not get up in the middle of the night and drive me insane, then when I wake up in the morning, she looks at me like she's missed a golden opportunity to make me upset. And then it's like she has to catch up, right? By making me angry all day. So that's kind of what's going on now. She's probably in there hanging out with Johnny. If there's noise going on, his voice is so much like mine that if he's in there talking, she's probably sitting at the desk wondering where the heck the basket is. You know what? Here's the thing, Kristen. She doesn't mind just jumping up on my shoulder. Like if the basket's not around, normally she'll just jump up on my shoulder. But I don't know what the deal is with Squirrel Nut Zipper this morning. Yesterday she was this way too. No, I mean she's in the chair. Yes, I can see her. I know where she is. She's being obstinate. Yes, she's being obstinate. But this is her being angry. Squirrel's mad because Johnny closed the door last. There could be something to that. Johnny does close the door and she gets kind of bummed out. Oh, that's genius. That's genius. Going on cat patrol during the day. The problem is she is so much more strong-willed than I am. You understand? Like if we match willpower, Spanx Calhoun was this kid too. If we wanted to match willpower for willpower, right? I would lose. I told you the story of him dropping the shoes out the window of the car. Like, how do you beat that kid? You know what I mean? You're not gonna come out on top. You just have to come up with a new plan. And Squirrel Nut is that way too. She is absolutely. Hey, what are you doing? Get over here. Yeah, see, she's having she was chewing on her foot pretty viciously when I looked over. She was giving it that. I've never seen a cat that is more invested in removing the outer shell off of her claws. It's something older cats do a lot less of. Kitties do it as they grow into adulthood. But if you've never seen a cat do it, it's pretty wild to watch. You know what I mean? Like they got a claw in there and they're just going at it. It looks like they're trying to chew off a finger. Yeah, she's an obstinate little kitty. So, no, I did not change her snacks. I would never. I shouldn't say that. Her snacks are on a rotation because of how many of you send her snacks, right? So there's probably 8 or 9 different snacks going at any given time. But there's also the standard. This is a guaranteed lock. She loves this. Hello, Deanna. Do you know how many people I grew up with named Deanna? That it goes in waves. My sister and my mother are both educators, and they used to spend a lot of time talking about how, like, all of a sudden, every single child that came through the school all had the same name. And there is something very much, to this. It seems to go in waves, right? Where you don't hear the name Savannah, and then every single girl you meet for, a period of time all seems to be named Savannah, or Brooklyn was a name that got really, really popular. And you know what I'm talking about. Yes. So I have no idea why, bro. Literally no idea. Which is funny because Cooking with Grandma says we are both clean and sober 4 years this month. Congratulations. You know what? Squirrel is, okay, for the viewers who enjoy spoiling Squirrel, what is she low on? Okay, let's see. Honestly, I don't think you have any idea just how spoiled this animal is. I don't think she's low on anything. Greenies, currently probably I think greenies are probably the only thing the squirrel is currently low on, and that's because greenies come in like 6 different varieties. So there's this is a spoiled animal. I don't think you have any idea. There's 20,000 of you, close to 20,000 of you who love my cat. This is a spoiled. Your youngest daughter is named Savannah. See, it's a perfect example. I don't remember knowing anybody growing up named Savannah, but my baby sister had a daughter named Savannah. So my niece is named Savannah, and I bet you she knows 9 Savannahs. So those kind of things do go in waves. I was first name Brett, right? I never met anybody with my first name until I was out of. I shouldn't say that I had a relative, but until right around college, I didn't meet anybody with that name. But they go in and out of favor, and then all of a sudden, you go somewhere and everybody has that name. Calhoun, you're reading a book, and Savannah is the name of it. Do I give her catnip? I do. I do give her catnip. Currently, she has catnip, cat crack, California cat, kitty weed, cat nugs. There's like 5 different kinds currently that she has. I'll tell you what, though. I believe it was Mary that sent the pickle, and this is for all cat people. Let me give you a fantastic piece of advice. Like those stuffed pickles, any of those things that you have that go make that crinkling sound, right? Cats go nuts on. When that thing, we took it out of the box, right? And there were like 6 things in the box. So I started to go through before you got anything else out of that cat attacked that pickle like it was the end of the world. Like it came over, and you know how cats do it. They walk on it. They walk past, like over the top of it, so it's on their back feet, like they don't care, and then they go and do the drop and start kicking the hell out of it. Yeah, she has got a thing for that pickle. Hey, get over here. Yeah, she's just being obstinate. That's all that is. She's just being obstinate. Some men are shy working. Your cat goes to town on bubble wrap. Yes. Anything packing related, right? Anything packing related. So squirrel loves boxes. She loves, packing peanuts. Forget about it. If you can let a cat near packing peanuts, they are the happiest animals in the whole world. They'll destroy your house, but they are just so happy while they're doing it. I agree with you. I agree with you. Every fella should be on the never-ending search for their princess buttercup. Agreed. Do you take this woman, Princess Buttercup? Really, really funny. Yes, that is the whole point, Specs Calhoun. Love the Princess Bride reference. Says Hauser when? Inconceivable. Check out Farming Turtle Pet Salad. It's organic wheatgrass for cats. My cat has a thing for grass that I can't explain. I've been talking to Calhouni. Please remind me of this in a second because I want to get back to what you just said. My cat loves grass in a way I can't explain. Like we go outside and there's one section out there that she goes to and just instantly like she's in heaven. Shelly Kelly says, Princess Bride quotes, that's how I know you are my people. Yeah, well, that will help. Absolutely, that will help. Okay, so as Calhouni was just saying, Inigo Montoya, right? So you killed my father, prepare to die, right? My name is Inigo Montoya, and he continues to repeat it. You've seen this? You're familiar with this, yeah? Okay, so I was in a drug class in prison, and the guy who ran the drug class did not have a sense of humor. And he didn't have a sense of humor because imagine being a school teacher, right? And having a class clown, right? Well, everyone that ends up in prison was a class clown, right? Okay. So a class in prison is just a tough thing anyway, right? And the class clown end of it, there's a lot of really you have to sort of have a kind of run that place with an iron fist, or people are going to wildly take advantage of you. And we're doing a drug class, and everybody had to go around the room, and you had to tell them who you are, if you were new there or whatever, what your drug of choice was. And we had a guy, and I'm not joking you, that the man's name was, it sounded so much the same, right? It wasn't, his last name was Montoya. I can't remember what his first name was, but it sounded so much like it that this was a class where we were all afraid of the guy running the class. We really were. This was a guy that would beat the crap out of you. He just was not a very nice person. But so the guy sitting next to me drops his name, right? We're going around. He's brand new in the class. And he's like, my name is, something about Montoya. And I just, under my breath, said, you killed my father. Prepare to die. The guy sitting to the side of me heard what I said and got it, right? And it, how sometimes somebody says something and it gets you in such a way where you're not going to be able to stop laughing until somebody forces you to stop laughing. This happened to the both of us. And Mr. Montoya was a little offended because he didn't understand why the two of us were laughing as hard as we were. It was actually a really bad scene that almost got really out of control fast. But anybody got 6 fingers? Yes. Amigo Montoya, you killed my father. Prepare to die. But yeah, it was one of those things that I got a very good laugh out of it. Sadly, most of the things that I get a very good laugh out of bothered someone else. What are you going to do? Right? What are you going to do? So back to my fascination with all things horological. So prior to the invention of the clock, right? We knew that we had to adjust for leap year. I'm really fascinated by this. Now, you can go down a rabbit hole, on the eternal rabbit hole of trying to figure out whether or not people built pyramids with chisels and hammers. Whatever makes you happy. But I am of the firm belief that those buildings were put there as a way to communicate through eternity. I don't think that what's written on them is important. I think that their their proportions and dimensions and where they are on the planet are relevant. I think the rest of it is probably less so. I think how they're laid out, when you look at them, all of those things are relevant. I think that the rest of it is less so. And I don't think that they were burial chambers for pharaohs. If I were a pharaoh, right, and they told me that I was God and they dropped me in the middle of that town, I'd be like, I'm getting buried in that thing. I think that's probably more along the lines of what went down, because they have this place called the Valley of Kings, right, where all of those pharaohs get found, right? Cougars are cats, Johnny Scoville. Are you making a reference to the type of cougar with 4 paws? Or is this in reference to the type of cougar that is a slightly more mature woman who is very often interested in a man less mature than herself? He digs the cougs. I'm not mad at him. Let me tell you what happens with guys. True story, D. Marie. I stand corrected. I stand corrected. My name is Hugo Montoya. You killed my father. Now, I think you get to an age as a man. You can back me up on this, Johnny Scoville, or you can disagree. But I think you hit an age as a guy where where your tastes begin to shift. I think you get to an age where all of a sudden you just start going, you know what? It's creepy. Maybe it's because of my kids and their age or whatever, but I just have reached an age where I don't know. I don't spend nearly as much time looking at people who are a lot younger than I am. It just I think you do that when you're in your 30s and 40s and you wish you were still 19 and 20. And then maybe even as you start into your 50s, you start looking back and wishing you were in your 20s and 30s. But then you start to realize that as you're looking back, there's not a lot to talk to people who are half your age about. You know what I mean? It becomes difficult to have conversations with people whose points of references are so much different than your own. I don't know if Johnny Scoville will remember this, but I've told the story on the boat multiple times. I actually went on a date, which I don't do. I'm not really a dating kind of guy. This was a million years ago, by the way. Well, 750,000 years ago, maybe. But I actually was on a date with a girl, and my brother said to me, I told him I was on a date, and he goes, "You're on a date?" Because I really don't do this very often. I said, "Yeah, she's a young girl." And he's like, how young are we talking? I said, "She's pretty young." And he's like, "Well, how young?" I said, she's 21, but I don't think she's a whole lot older. And he just started to give me all kinds of crap about how young this girl was. And the truth is, she might not have been 21 because she was buying wine coolers. Well, now keep in mind, this didn't happen yesterday, right? This was years and years and years ago. But my brother suggested that I ask this girl about Jonestown. And it has become kind of a good, I think it's a good litmus test for guys my age. If you ask a girl if they're familiar with Jonestown and what Jonestown was. And so Johnny's laughing because he does remember this. Okay, so here's how it went down, because this is actually pretty funny. I don't know where my phone is. I might be sitting on it. So I'm in the car, right? And the car was a Porsche at the time. And this girl's inside a 7-Eleven trying to buy wine coolers. And I say trying because I don't think it was her ID. But I think she was 19 or 20, and I was probably in my 30s. But it didn't make it past a first date. But so Johnny says to me, "How old is this girl?" I said, "She's maybe 19 or 20, somewhere there." And he's like, "Man, listen, if your date can't tell you who Jim Jones is and what happened on Jonestown, then you can't be on the date, right? The girl's too young." I was like, "Okay." I said, "Well, she's pretty sharp, she's a fairly intelligent." So when this girl comes out, I took my phone, right, and I muted it so that he said to me, "I want to hear what she says." I said, "No, I want you." He's like, No. I'll mute myself. You mute me." He said, "I just want to hear her answer." So the girl gets in the car and she came in, and first she says they didn't have wine coolers, right? Which should have just made Johnny laugh anyway, but no noise from Johnny. So I figure I'm cool on the phone, but she bought like hard iced tea or something instead. Yeah. But I said to her, I waited a second and I said, "Hey, are you familiar with Jonestown? You know what Jonestown was, right?" And she goes, "Yeah," like I'm an idiot. "Yeah, I know what Jonestown was." I said, "Okay." I was that rock concert, wasn't it? And all of a sudden you could hear Johnny Scoville just start laughing through the phone. And not your regular laugh. This is the, "Oh, I told you, you're such an idiot" laugh, right? That kind of laugh. And this young person said to me, "What is that?" I said, "That's my my ringtone for my brother. I'm not going to answer it." I just hung up on him. But from that point forward, all I could concentrate on was the fact that this girl was not old enough to have a really good conversation with. It doesn't mean she's not a great human being, right? It just means that everything I talk about, I'm going to have to explain. You know what I mean? And that gets really old really, really quickly, because you make a reference or something. We take for granted so much because it's just part of the zeitgeist of there's just so much that we drinking the Kool-Aid, right? Jim Jones, don't drink the Kool-Aid, right? No, there's a Kool-Aid drinker. We use these expressions. People use these expressions and they have no idea why they use these expressions. I don't mean us. We know why we use these expressions. We lived through them. But if you start dating someone half your age, you end up having to explain all of these things, you know? You know what? You walk such a fine line between me loving you and me wanting to shoot you. Honestly, you walk that razor line. The Bee Gees were loved by every person that has ever listened to them. Nobody doesn't like the Bee Gees. Even Bee Gee haters dig the Bee Gees. They just don't admit that they like the Bee Gees, right? It's just one of those things. I mean that. There is no such thing as a true, no lie Bee Gee hater. They might claim that they hate the Bee Gees. No one hates the Bee Gees. It wasn't even Kool-Aid. You're right, Shannon Smith. You're right. It was not. It was Flavor Aid. You are absolutely 100% right. But no one has ever said, drink the Flavor Aid. Kool-Aid really got the abuse, didn't it? By the way, for those who have reached out to me, you can't tell by the way I use my walker, woman's man. No time to tell. Music loud, friendly walker, be kicked around because I won't talk. Don't you get me going, Calhoun. I could tear up Bee Gees lyrics until the end of time. Ben Turner, don't encourage him. Don't encourage Jeremy. Ben, you know better. Seriously. You know what can happen. You know what I'm gonna hear next, honestly? Next, you're gonna tell me this is not a fun fact, Sandy. I love you, Sandy. This is not a fun fact. Calhoun, do you find that fact fun? Do you know that you can make a beverage with this poison? No. Yeah, see, my son, because he's one of those, that will bury a hatchet in dad's back, does find that to be a fun fact. He's getting ready to annoy me with that little tidbit. I can see the smile. Is that where you're going with this, Calhoun? Yeah, see, I knew it. I knew it was coming. Way to have my back. That's my kid. Jennifer Folsom, thank you. She gets it. Shannon Smith, you love it when I sing. You do not. Bee Gees Road Trip. Let's go. See that? She gets it. Mama Bear's bedtime stories. Love the Bee Gees. Love the Bee Gees. Also love ABBA. I don't care. There you go. Throw some. Put that in your video, but you won't. I'm a fan. I like. And who was the guy that wore the sweaters? Johnny Scoville. Oh, I know you know who I'm talking about. Yeah. Every time they didn't make videos back then, but he was always wearing a sweater in everything they showed. Oh, I can't believe this is gonna. No. Way less cool. Way less cool than Van Morrison. No, we're talking epically uncool. Epically uncool from the 70s. Easy listen. Work on that and get back to me. Let's not forget Andy Gibb. You could not forget Andy Gibb. Andy Gibb tragically succumbed to cocaine addiction. He poured, as the story goes, he poured an 8-ball, which is 3.5 grams of cocaine, into a Coca-Cola and drank it because his beak was so screwed up he couldn't snort anymore. And it ate a hole in his stomach and killed him. It's tragic. Everybody in that family. Why can I not remember Art is subjective. Nonsense. I am the purveyor of art, and I will tell you what's good and what is not. Thank you. Welcome to the lifeboat. Oh, I'm kidding. There's so little music that I can't stand, honestly. But what is the name? Who is that guy? It's going to drive me crazy. No, not Mr. Rogers. We're talking about a rock star, people. Thank you, though. Mr. Rogers definitely wore a sweater. This guy wore a sweater that looked like Mr. Rogers. He was a rock star of really using that name, the name rock star, lightly. But he was a guy that had hits in the 70s and just was softer than hospital cotton. I mean, you talk about easy listening. Here's your guy. Easy listening. Gordon Lightfoot. No, but that's a great guess. Okay, that is a great guess. You're on the that was a good guess. Because I'm describing Eddie Rabbit. Not a bad guess, but there you go. Not who I'm looking for. Leo Sayer. Thank you, Rexican Messler. Please spike the football. Please spike the football. Can Rexican Messler spike the football, please? Well played, Rexican Messler. Well played. Jim Croce, awesome. Paul Anka, awesome. Both great guesses, by the way. Barry Manilow, great guess. Absolutely a fantastic guess. I love sweater. Oh, that's awesome. Look at the look on that cat's face. Johnny, I hope you're seeing that. Johnny loves a good cat picture and video more than anybody in the world. Oh, listen to this. J9 says, there is an actress in England. She snorted so much coke, she destroyed her entire septum. It's awful. That would be this thing that goes between the two nostrils, right? Is a septum. Calhoun, can you pull up the picture of the guy from the Howard Stern show? The actor from the Howard Stern show that absolutely destroyed his nose. And yeah, Artie Lang is the name of the Calhoun. Pull up that picture of Artie Lang if you can. It's pet actress grew up to be known now as Corey Feldman. That's just awful. That's awful, Jeremy, but I do appreciate it. Artie Lang, thank you, everybody. Stevie Nicks, listen, I'll be really honest with you, people. Mine's not in very good shape. There you go, people. And that is Artie Lang, which is just horrific. Absolutely horrific. It's you know what? There but for the grace of God. That Artie Lang is a tragic story. He really is. Yeah, Calhoun. So Spanky is of a generation that may have missed the Artie Lang. Artie Lang is the story behind Artie Lang is really odd. Artie and his father used to work together, and they used to listen to Howard Stern religiously, right? Religiously, two biggest Howard Stern fans on earth. Well, Artie did some comedy and did some stand-up stuff and was continuing to work with his dad, but doing stand-up comedy and he got an opportunity to audition for the Stern show and got a part on the show. But in the process of all this going down, his father passed, and he passed. Artie blamed himself for his father's death forever because his father had fallen off of a ladder and started a whole process. He thought if he had been there and blah blah blah. But to make a long story short, this is a guy that had an opiate problem. And if you've got someone who has an opiate problem and you give them an unbelievable amount of fame and money, nothing good is going to happen. You got to take my word on this. Over 2 years clean off H, and then knew I was going to use again. So I went on Suboxone, and now can't talk at my NA meetings. So not going anymore. Thanks for listening. Mark, your story sounds so much like mine. I was 5 years clean off of H and knew I was going to use. So I went on Suboxone, and I talk here. Welcome to the Lifeboat. You can talk here anytime you want. No one here is going to judge you for taking a drug that doesn't get you high to avoid one that destroyed your life. And anybody who says that you can't talk at a meeting like that is a jackass. Get away from that meeting as fast as you can. Those people aren't interested in you being healthy. Got some other agenda. If they have a problem with you using Suboxone to not use heroin, they're stupid. Sorry. Uninitiated, ignorant, whatever word you want to use. This is a, good God, what a sad world that we live in. Really. Please don't come by our cancer center. You have cancer, right? Please don't come by our hospital. You're sick. Please don't speak at our Narcotics Anonymous meeting, right? Because you're using a blocker to not get high on heroin. God forgive them. It's so ignorant and sad. It's remarkable. I want to tell you a story, people. I've told the story on here before, but I'll tell it to you again. On a desk in front of me, okay? And it is a metal slab of a desk. It's just a piece of metal welded to a wall with a little like bench that swings in and out, because the cell is so small that if the thing were to be out at all times, you'd hit your leg on it every time you walked in. So you have to be able to swing the seat, to hide it, so to speak. But I was sitting at that desk, and the lookout, that is a guy that you literally pay to stand at the door and make sure there are no cops coming. Not sure what he was doing, because when I looked up, the cop was in the lookout's position, standing at my door looking at me. I had somewhere in the 30 range of strips of Suboxone on the desk. And all I was doing was helping somebody package this stuff. Right? I really, honestly, that's all I was doing. But that much Suboxone on the desk being cut into smaller pieces would constitute drug dealing. And the amount of it would have been enough that if they really wanted to be jackasses, they wouldn't have to leave it at a prison thing. They could have actually initiated a new case. They could have called me a drug dealer, which really would have made me salty because it wasn't even my Suboxone, right? Like it was my cellmate's best friend that got this stuff smuggled in, but didn't even realize how you sell it, how people get high on it, nothing. So I was basically showing these guys. I ended up having to eat this entire pile of Suboxone. Now, and literally, I ate all of them because the other option was going to be getting charged with it. So I looked at him, and I knew this cop for a long time. I'd known him years at this point. But he looked at me and he went, "Don't do it. Don't do it." I went, "Oh, you got it." And he freaked out. He kept saying, "This is going to kill you. You're going to," I said, you can't overdose on this stuff. You got to take my word for it. No, freaking out. Took me to the hospital, and they wanted to do the pump the stomach thing which ended up happening, the lavage thing where they stick activated charcoal down. Does Suboxone do anything to help dopamine? Help dopamine is a weird question. You mean, does it generate dopamine in the body, or does it get you to generate dopamine in the body? It has to. I mean, to some degree, it has to, because of what it's doing to your MU receptors. Absolutely, it is. It is getting what it's doing is. So when normally what happens is the drug enters the MU receptor. Think of it like a key, right? It goes in. The key goes into the lock, turns the lock. And now the chemical begins to release into our body that makes us stop feeling pain, start feeling better, right? All those things. That's the MU receptor. Heroin goes in, and it's again, like a key or like a faucet might be a better illustration. So heroin goes in and turns on the faucet, and oof, all that stuff rushes. Fentanyl turns it on so much that all the water comes out at once, all the drug comes out at once and kills you, right? So the faucet's so massive. Suboxone makes it drip. Suboxone goes in and turns that on so that it goes drip, drip, drip all day long. It's not enough to ever really make you feel a damn thing. I ate 30 of them, 30 some odd of them, and didn't feel anything more than I would have felt on the initial 8 milligrams or 16 milligrams or whatever. There's nothing there. If you're an addict, if you've already been addicted to opiates, you do not feel Suboxone. You don't. Now, if you've never done it, you're going to feel it the first couple of times you do it, to be sure. I mean, it is an agonist, you know. I mean, it will absolutely turn on the MU receptor, but it turns it on in a very, very different way than any other drug does. So over the course of about 14 hours, it keeps that receptor just dripping. And what it feels like to a heroin addict is that you just fixed. I don't mean that you got a buzz. I mean that your brain goes, oh, we don't need any. And it's not just that we don't need any, because this is hard to explain unless you've been addicted to an opioid or to heroin. But as soon as you fix, right, and you go, yeah, all right, you need the next one. I mean, the window of actually just being able to relax and go, oh, thank God, right? Boom. Tracy Lynn, I love you. Go away. I'm sorry. I love you. Go away. The other option is killing 300 people a day in the US. People like Tracy Lynn, and I love you. I really do. But people like this are killing people. Is getting off Suboxone easy? No. Is getting off fentanyl easy? Yeah, it is. It is. It's easy for 300 people a day are getting off of it like this. You know how many people are going to die from a Suboxone overdose in the United States today? 0. 0. You know how many people are going to die from a fentanyl overdose while I'm doing this show? Huh? 12 at a minimum. This is a dangerous kind of conversation to have anywhere, but it's a shit show of a conversation to have here. I'm sorry. Is Suboxone hard to get off? Yeah, it is. If you do it the way the doctor instructs you to do it, you'll get off it. I've done it 3 times for no other reason than to show people that it is not torture to get off of it, because I intend to do it for the rest of my time on planet Earth. It makes perfect sense for me to do 2 milligrams of it a day for eternity if I live that long. It stops me from wanting to do a drug that destroyed my family 3 times. The people on the streets today are making a choice between Suboxone. What? You can't answer that question. I can't answer that question, right? And this is what I do 24/7. I don't know what the hell they're trading it for. Neither do you. I can tell you there's a really good chance they're trading it for a mixture of xylazine, right, and fentanyl. They're calling it Trank. That doesn't necessarily mean what it's going to be. It might be isonitazine mixed with Trank, or it might be phytonitazine mixed with xylazine, right, to make the Trank, or a brand new bathtub version of a benzo that's coming out of Mexico. Also has a Z sounding name to it. Can't remember it off the top of my head, but we don't know what people are doing. But do you know what's going to happen to me today? I'm going to get 100 emails, because I get them all the time, from people that say to me, I'm not going to do Suboxone because I know I'm just trading one drug for another. You're trading a drug that's going to kill you for a drug that can't. One of those two drugs is going to keep you in a parking lot for 5 hours today. Not the same parking lot. You might be in 3 different parking lots, right? And the first time, your guy might show up in 2 minutes. There are days that you're only in parking lots for a few minutes. But according to most people who write books on such subjects, the average heroin addict will spend 50% of their life waiting for the drug to be delivered. I know, because in 30 years, I spent more than 15 waiting for dope to be delivered. I promise. In 30 years, I probably spent 20 waiting for dope to be delivered. The rest of the time I spent out stealing to get that. Now, you take a small film of Suboxone, 2 milligrams for me, stick it underneath my tongue. I don't think about it again. Right? Don't think about it again. In fact, I got to set friggin' alarms to remind myself to take it. Days go by and I go, crap. I forgot to take it. Now, if the doctor who put you on Suboxone the first time said to you, you'll just go like this and it's over, well, then he was an ass. He did a very bad job of explaining to you how this substance works. But let me explain to you this. You can continually lower the dosage, get to a point where you're taking a 0.5 milligram, get to a point where you're cutting that in half. But it is irresponsible to tell people who are dying of fentanyl that Suboxone is a dangerous drug. Holy hell. Subutex, by the way, is a slightly different drug. Now, it is a slightly different drug than is Suboxone. And there's a reason for that. It's not just, this is something that confuses even scientists because it's confusing. But Narcan, which is the other ingredient that is added to Subutex to make Suboxone, blocks the bioavailability of itself. I mean, of the drug. So a certain amount of the Suboxone you're taking is already being blocked by the Narcan that's in it. So it's apples and oranges just based on that. It also makes it so that you can mix Subutex with things that you cannot mix Suboxone with. It is a different drug. I used to abuse Subutex. You can get high on Subutex. To be sure, you can. It is a slightly different drug, but it is buprenorphine. It's just it's a slightly different configuration. The boat wouldn't be the same without everybody here. Debbie Logan, I'm so glad you couldn't find a SIG. No way. Robin Wright was on tonight's show last night, Princess Bride. Boy, did I have a thing for Robin Wright. Boy, did I have a thing for Robin Wright. Whoa, boy, did I have a thing for Robin Wright. Blonde, she was just perfect. Hey, was I just called a fuzzy little ferret? You don't get that very often. Relatable Reese, good to see you. Have you seen this? Been a minute, Reese. Have you seen this? How's that? How you like them apples? I gave up. I do not dye that anymore at all. Are you seeing this, people? It is virtually astounding how fast my stuff went from brown to gray. I mean, I was dyeing it for a really long time, but I can't believe the speed at which it goes gray. I don't feel like I was dyeing it every week, but I must have been, or every couple of them to be sure. But you love gray and redheads. Well, Calhoun and I have got you covered, right? Spanky's got the Spank was supposed to do some trimming. I haven't seen him yet today. He might not be. No.
Somebody's saying my name?
Yeah, I don't didn't do any trimming up, did you? You see, right before I went to bed last night, Calhoun said to me, oh, and then there's Johnny Scoville, who is Gandalf the White. He's actually Gandalf the Gray. He wants to do this. He's the White Wizard thing, but get a good look at it. Kind of looks like he's been smoking a bunch of cigarettes and it's got the nicotine stain to it, like that kind of way.
It'll get taken off. I didn't have time last night.
Was this a 4-hour procedure there, Calhoun? Whacking down that?
No, it takes about 10 minutes tops. But
yeah, no shit.
You don't want to rush it.
No, you don't. It's there are procedures that probably shouldn't be rushed, and anything having to do with a razor in your face probably falls into that. Hello, squirrel nut zipper.
Every time I shave, I end up with more hair than I did before still. So it's still like a work in progress. I'm still learning all that stuff.
What are you doing, Kat?
I once saw my dad shave his own face in like 30 seconds flat.
I shave really, really quickly. It scares the crap out of people every time. Every time I do it, somebody comments on it. They're like, "What are you doing?"
He said to me, he was like, "All right, now it's your turn." And I was like, "No, no, no, no."
So this is another affectation, but picture this for a second. You have a buddy system, right? You have a buddy. I'm serious. You have a buddy system. So here's the way it happens. They let you out, right? And they say, you have exactly 2 minutes for you and your homeboy to shower, right? That is 120 seconds. If you take more than that 120 seconds, the person behind you, right, then is going to take their 120 seconds. The last guy in that line is going to get screwed out of his time. Everybody that went late. So if you run out and the last 2 guys don't shower, they're going to allow that to happen for real. And those last 2 guys are going to make sure that never happens again. So the process goes like this. You get into the shower, right? With the buddy system, you hop in the shower and you get wet, right? And the second you do, you hop out of the shower and you grab soap and you just start, getting soaped up. And while you're doing that, your homeboy jumps in the shower. So your eyes are closed, right? You're lathering your hair, doing all that. He's getting wet and his eyes are open and he's staring out. Now you switch spots. It's the craziest crap in the whole world. But the whole process of showering, all of it, you have a minute. And I could knock out my face and head in a minute. Just you get really good at doing it really, really quickly. Do you hear this, Reese? This is what happens when you're late. This is what happens when you're late. All of the Scovilles have since been. Calhoun, how about a warning before you do something like that? For real, you don't just throw that up there. Maybe
I thought y'all were waiting for it.
Good Lord, no, I did not know that was coming.
You shall not pass.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like he could be on the bridge.
Fly, you fools.
Randy Pearson, let me answer your question. This depends dramatically on your pain level and what is causing it. Here's what I mean by that. There are individuals for whom this is the golden ticket. It is the painkiller. It does everything that it was supposed to do. For some people, it does not do anything for pain. And it just comes down to the individual. I am blessed, right? I am blessed that this does work as a painkiller for me. Now, it doesn't work like an Oxycontin, right? But it beats the hell out of a Advil. To be sure, it works way better than an Advil. And I will, if I'm having a migraine, I will go from 2 milligrams of Suboxone to 4, right? 2 is my daily dose. I will double the amount of Suboxone I take, and it will have an effect. Migraines are touchy because of just how they are. Now, on something like a physical thing, it works beautifully as a painkiller for me, beautifully. But it's different with every person. So what you need to do is talk to your doctor. Tiffany says, I tapered off Suboxone the first time, had 4 good years. Sober, I relapsed. When I got sober again, I failed 3 times to taper off subs. I've been on a year and a half. I hate it so much. You know, have you considered, if you're getting insurance paying for this, right? Consider getting the shot, the Sublocade shot. This will eliminate for you having to every day mentally take the drug. I'm always a little surprised by people who complain about this. Now, maybe it's because of how my addiction was, right? Everybody's addiction is different. 1,000 people, there's 1,000 addictions. Every one of them is different. But when I was addicted to dope, the symptoms of that disease, going out and stealing, waiting in parking lots, all of the stuff that I had to do, dealing with fences, breaking the laws, all of the things that I had to do were so blown up and so in your face and over the top that the Suboxone thing, I take that piece of film and I drop it under my tongue and I forget about it. There's no, I don't get the feeling of, oh, I hate this. Yeah, that's what the question I was just answering. Randy, I hope you got that. It just depends, and you've got to talk to your doctor about this. You really have to talk to your doctor and work with them one-on-one. Let me try this one more time, Randy. Suboxone is a painkiller, but it is not a pure painkiller. Here's what I mean by that. An analgesic, right? That is something that we take for pain. And what it does is it goes in as a key to the ME receptor, turns the switch. Our body releases a painkiller that makes us stop feeling pain. Okay. So OxyContin, the morphine molecule in all of its forms does that. Now, this is an agonist, right? And an antagonist. This makes your brain believe that it's on an opiate, in spite of the fact that technically it's not. So this never saw a poppy. This is a synthetic, and it's not even technically, right, an opiate. It makes your body believe it's on a painkiller. So for some people, it does amazing work treating pain. For some people, it is the everything they ever asked for. I'm that person. It does amazing things for me, even with pain. Now, does that mean I walk around all day long with a pain level of 0? No. That's never going to happen. But I don't walk around all day long at a pain level of 7, right? I probably have flare-ups. When I'm not talking about this, right? The migraines, forget all about that. I'm just talking about day-to-day stuff from the ski injuries and all that. I probably walk around on a pain level from any given time of about a 2, right? And I think in the 50s, that's probably everybody, isn't it? I don't think most of us walk around painless in our 50s all day. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't. But a pain level 2 all day long, that's not bad. It really isn't. Ladies, watch your sons today. Mine snuck off in the sun. Sharing, oh no, and married at 18? Oh no. $18. Yeah, that's a little bit young. Okay, so it's a great painkiller for those who it's a great painkiller for. You have to talk to your doctor, and they're going to have to try you. That's the only thing that you can do, right? If you have questions that didn't answer, email me, please, and I will reach out to you. The Falcon Hood is fantastic. You don't know what the Falcon Hood is. I'm sorry. The Falcon Hood, that's why there's a question mark. Sorry, Elizabeth Bates. The Falcon Hood is a beer koozie. It's like the thickness of a beer koozie that goes on the outside of a can to keep it cool, except it goes on your head. You pull it onto your head. Being bald is lovely. I don't know what it's like for people with hair, but pulling it down, it covers all of my head, goes down like this, covers the eyes all the way down the back of your neck to about here. And it cools you. And as I've said here on the boat before, somebody bought it for me and mailed it to me. It stops the progression of my headache. It doesn't make my headache go away. But I've talked to people who have said to me, oh, it makes theirs go away like that. Like that. So for some people, it literally turns it off. But for me, it jams the e-brake. Like my headache does not progress any further. And that is good enough for me. I promise you. That is a gift. And it's a good look, says Reese. See that? Reese likes it. I also look like a falcon. Mortimer, what did you call me? I can't remember. There's somebody's, there's a name for that. Hello, Elizabeth Bates. Welcome to the lifeboat. Does the helmet pull your hair? No, I haven't heard any. Mordecai, there you go. Mordecai, see? Somebody knows. No one else is paying attention. Thank you, Reese. I'm glad you're here. And there's JD. Reese. JD's a woman. Not sure if you knew that. She's going to take care of that for you. I see. I'm good at that. I'm not. I've never gotten it right once. I really haven't. I've never gotten it right once. An eye massager? Excuse me? Say this again. ASAP Lizzie says, I do a lot of photo editing and my eyes strain like someone who works on a watch. So I bought an eye massager with Bluetooth to listen to soothing sounds. Good God, an eye massager? This may be the greatest idea of all time because I do this to myself routinely. I'm always massaging my eyes. So how does a massager, this thing of which you speak, how does it work? Kaiser Sose. Calhoun, did you just work a Kaiser Sose reference in?
No, I simply just stated his name.
Ah, okay.
Sounds like a maintenance product.
Aha. When my baby was newborn, it does sound like a Minkman product. When my baby was newborn and in the hospital, I was so busy, I could take the Subutex and not think about it again. I'm so inactive and uninvolved with anything. I'm bored. I overuse it, obsess. Guess what? That stops today. Huh? I'm serious. That stops today. You know why? Because self-awareness, sadly, takes away every other excuse that we have. Once we become self-aware of our problems, then we're done. Sad but true, right? When you can say something like this out loud, well, now it's time to grab your notebook and your pen and sit down and start writing. Self-awareness, right? You're self-aware. May sound crazy, but most humans are not sentient. Don't let them BS you. Most human beings have absolutely no self-awareness at all. But if you do, if you know that where you're at right now is not where you're supposed to be, get your notebook out, right? Sit down, start putting pen to paper. If you are aware of what you're doing, why you're doing it, start writing. That journal, right, becomes the $175 an hour counselor who you can't lie to. I love it when people say to me, I can't, I just don't know what to write. Of course you do. You just don't want to write it. Well, I promise you, you know what to write. What's wrong with you? Honest to God, ask yourself the question, what's wrong with me? You know the answer to that question. Start writing it. I'm sorry, but really, what's wrong? Start writing. Sit down and begin to write. What's wrong? Watch how fast stuff starts to fly off your pen. Watch how fast that stuff fly off your pen. I promise. Guess what? I tricked the kitty. Look at this. Look at this. Huh? That is a tricked kitty cat. Yeah. It's a cat in a basket. She's not very happy to be out here. In fact, everything about that exchange just made her angry. I'm sorry, kitty. Yeah, I'm sorry. little basket. I do need a basket on every flat surface. By the way, I'm not picking on you or anybody else personally. You understand? But this self-awareness thing is huge. It's unique. You understand? It is unique. Most people are not self-aware. Take Reese, for instance. Right? I love Reese. Reese is not self-aware. I'm working on it. Reese doesn't think she's talented. Reese doesn't think she's attractive. Right? There's all kinds of things that we need to work on self-awareness on, right? But we're all helping each other, right? You know why that Reese struggles? Why everybody struggles? No one's allowed to say things anymore like "you're beautiful." You're not allowed to say things like that anymore. If you say to a woman, "You know what? You look beautiful," makes you a bad person, for real. Someone will yell at you and say, "You know what? Randy, you didn't ask too much. Stop that. Good Lord, you didn't ask too much. Randy, no. You didn't ask too much at all. And if there's anything that you're not clear on, please email me. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it at length. You did not ask too much. Don't be silly. That's one of my favorite questions, Randy, believe it or not. That's so funny. See, you're so funny. Reese is funny. See what she did there? She's pretty quick on her feet, too. No, you are not self-aware, but we're going to work on that. We're going to work on that. ASAP Lizzie, you look beautiful. Not allowed to say that anymore, right? And by the way, a 7th, you look fantastic. Can't say that to guys either. Although you can get away with a lot more with a guy, can't you? Let's be really honest. I'm not doing anything disrespectful. I'm not. I love all of you, every single one of you. But can you imagine if Reese came over here, right? Think about it for a sec. If Reese came over here and my audience said, "Boy, I like to jump her." Imagine how bad the guys would get really badly treated if they started to just talk about Reese in any way. We live in a very strange society. Do we not? Honestly, women can get away with a lot. If a woman said, "Boy, I'd like to jump on Tommy Scoville," nobody in this audience would say anything weird. But if a guy in this audience said, "I'd really like to jump on Reese," some people would lose their mind. And it doesn't bother me. Honest to God, it doesn't. But it is worth me stepping back and going, it is kind of odd, isn't it? Right? It's a little different. It is. Reese, don't threaten me with a good time. Don't threaten me with a good time. You know, there are airlines that fly all over these United States of ours, Reese. I would avoid Southwest, but all the other ones. You know what? It's probably a mean thing to do for me to pick on Southwest Airlines. And who knows? Maybe someday Southwest would like to sponsor the lifeboat. You know, before they do that, though, they would have to come up with a much better system. Because dialing that stupid phone number in the morning and then finding out that you're in the C boarding class, which means you have to stand there like this, right, forever while everybody else goes in front of you. And then you don't get your own seat assignment. And it's terrible, man. I hate that. Boy, do I dislike Southwest. Isn't that bad? It's like an anti-advertisement, but boy, I can't stand Southwest. I'll pay a little bit more. I want to know what seat I'm in. And on that cheery note, I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you. Oh, Reese, you're so kind. And I believe you would. Nevertheless, I can't do that boarding stuff. See, Delta, because someone just said Delta did it too. I think Delta did it as in past tense. I know they don't now. Delta is who I fly with, and it's great. I get a instead of me having to make a phone call, I get a phone call. They call me and they go, "Hey, your seat's number 17, right? You requested an aisle seat. You got one. It's in row 17. We'll see you there. Have a great day. Do you have any questions?" That kind of thing. So just a lot more civilized. But when I was a public speaker, I lived in Salt Lake City, Utah. Salt Lake City, Utah is where the Delta Center is, because the Delta, right, that's Delta's hub, Salt Lake. So it made sense for me to do all of my travel on Delta when I was a public speaker. And I was triple platinum elite or whatever it was. I really had a lot. They did take their bag. They did take my bag. By way of full disclosure, they did take my bag. They all suck. They all suck. There's not a good airline. There isn't. I shouldn't say that. I've never had a bad flight on Qantas. My Aussie friends, I've never had a bad flight on Qantas. Oh, there's a terrifying concept. You liked Swiss Air? That's not the terrifying concept, by the way. My father said a lot of nice stuff about Swiss Air. Alaska Air. You know why I do not like Alaska Air? Because Alaska sold their planes to Con Air. So the carpet, and I, again, as being a public speaker, I flew a lot. I remember walking on and going, man, this is a Alaska Air. Like I knew the carpet. No, it's just bad. Emirates, I have had a very limited exposure to Emirates, but I have flown Emirates. And yeah, it was fantastic. Same with Lufthansa. I've flown very few times on Lufthansa. Lufthansa was fantastic. Con Air, I have flown Con Air 5 times. I've never had a good flight. I have nothing but bad things to say about Con Air. Although the people from the Air Transcorp, they're called Transcorp of America, the air transportation people, lovely people. It's the plane and the rest of it that wasn't good. The staff was fantastic. The steward gave you a bag of Swiss chocolates because he said I was the kindest passenger and always had a smile. Made me feel so good. That would make me feel good too. That's very cool. Con Air Google reviews just tanked. That's right. I have just done damage. And that's sad because it was such a well-made film and an Academy Award winning performance. I don't know how they passed over Nicolas Cage for an Academy Award, truthfully. All right, people. On that note, you saw the cat. It's in the basket. I'm Captain Tommy, and I will see you on the next one. All right? Moscow, you out? All right. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.